You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
The countdown to Trump's inevitable reckoning has officially begun, based on an article by D. Earl Stevens. Trump is losing, so he will try to rig the board. Power means enforcement. The source text is straightforward about the immediate facts. Trump's approval is collapsing, Democrats are leading in generic ballot polling, and the Republican Party looks headed for a beating in November. That is the setup. The real story is what comes after the polls, when a political coalition expects to lose. The question is not whether it will accept the result. The question is what institutional leverage it has left to sabotage it. Trump still holds the central coercive advantage, the presidency, the machinery of the executive branch, and as Supreme Court the article describes as having already anointed him with power. That is not a vibes-based threat. It is the structure of the problem. The Coming Refusal. The source argues that Trump will attack elections if he cannot control the outcome. That is the key political fact here. A defeated authoritarian does not need majority support to become dangerous. He needs enough leverage to obstruct counting, certification, messaging, and compliance. The article is right to frame this as expected behavior, not a surprise twist. Trump's whole project is to convert electoral loss into procedural crisis. That is why the focus cannot stay on poll numbers alone. Polls measure mood. Power decides whether mood becomes a result. Republicans own this. The article spends time mocking Republicans for being trapped by Trump, but the deeper point is that they are not trapped. They are consenting. Subservient is the right word because it names the arrangement to a party that could sever itself from a wrecking ball. President instead chooses obedience and hopes the damage is survivable. That is the enabling mechanism. Every Republican who keeps the coalition intact while Trump prepares to contest the legitimacy of defeat is participating in the damage. This is not confusion, it is strategic cowardice dressed up as party discipline. The media is not neutral here. The source is also right to blast the White House press call and corporate media for turning crisis into networking. A political system can only drift so far toward authoritarianism if the press keeps treating its own access, dinners, and decorum as the main event. That is not a small aesthetic failure. It is misdirection with consequences. When the press celebrates proximity while the regime discredits elections, it helps launder the danger into normal politics. The article's contempt for those institutions is earned. They are not being fooled. They are choosing comfort over clarity. What the polls actually mean, the polling details matter, but only in a narrow sense. They show Democrats in a stronger position on the issues that structure daily life: income inequality, health care, inflation, the economy, foreign policy. They also show a collapse in Trump's standing in a swing state that the source treats as nationally decisive. Those numbers do not guarantee anything. They do, however, strip away the lazy narrative that this is a balanced partisan competition. The Democratic advantage is not just electoral arithmetic. It reflects a public that can see who is failing and who is forcing the failure. The Republican brand is not merely unpopular. It is politically toxic because it is tethered to a sabotaging leader. The system beneath the story. This is the pattern. An authoritarian faction loses public legitimacy, then leans on institutional power, media distraction, and party cowardice to contest reality itself. The danger is not that voters are confused. The danger is that elites keep pretending sabotage is just another policy disagreement. The sauce is loud, but its central claim is plain. The fight is not between two equally flawed parties. One side is preparing for democratic defeat. The other side is being asked to prove it can enforce a result against a movement built to deny one. That is the actual test. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Alternate for today's article. With the automated voice of John, thanks for listening.